All right, we are live. Today we're going to talk a little bit about client education. This is something you can use to help you build relationships with your clients, and it can help you build trust and loyalty with your clients. When you gain a client's business in this type of sales, you will be expected to continue building your relationship with that client through communication with them about their accounts, as well as client education. One of the things that client education can help you do is increase the amount of good business that they're placing with you by helping the clients you do business with to improve their policies and enforcement of those policies. This is something that allows a client to recognize risk factors, and it helps them to increase cash flow. When we assist our clients in developing or improving upon a system to make it work effectively, they're going to look good to their superiors, and they will continue to place collectible business on a regular basis, as well as deny any agency that wants to compete with us for their business. So client education is rather important, and when we get down to the simplest forms of client education, we have flyers and handouts that can be sent to your clients to give them different pointers on using a more effective credit policy. The benefits that a client themselves will have of being well educated is they'll have a strong credit policy with the ability to enforce that policy. This type of client will place accounts with you between 60 and 120 days old. So that's prime business. An educated client won't fall for debtor excuses. Also, growth and profitability on their part means more business for you. Your educated clients will always have a complete credit application on file for all of their customers, which once it gets to a collector, that's going to help the collector to do what it is he does to collect the money. Additionally, as I mentioned before, it builds loyalty. We can help them understand how to have better relationships with their sales reps, meaning the sales reps for their company that sell their services, because the sales department and the credit department has to work together towards one goal, which is profitability. An educated client also makes good credit decisions, and they also resolve most disputes in-house instead of leaving a convoluted mess for us to deal with. Last and the most important thing is it helps them lower their DSO, which is days sales outstanding. And if you look either on our training cloud or in the CRM, there will be some different 1 or 2 page flyers that can help out with client education. These are also in our starter manual. There's a in our sales training, there's a starter manual which has some of the client education in the back of it, which I'm going to show you guys a few of these. This is one of them, 10 reasons businesses fail with internal collection initiatives. And these types of things will help you to show your clients some of the things that they can look out for and help them improve their policies. You've also got in here some stuff about, oh, this one's actually 3 pages long. Building bridges between sales and credit. We have part 1 and part 2, which is something that every company deals with. Friction between the credit department and the sales department. And those relationships can be very testing because the credit manager has to make good credit decisions while the sales professional wants to write deals and get credit approved for their clients or for their customers. So they need to be able to work together, and you know, some of the stuff in these handouts can help a client to do this more effectively. Let's see. Some of the other things we have in here is the 3 C's of the credit sales partnership, which, of course, is important. Some in-house collection tips on what they should be doing in order to get their in-house stuff done a little more effectively. For example, Hank was talking about a client that's got someone that's delinquent for a number of months, and when I say a number, I mean they're reaching the double digits in how many months past due this customer of theirs is, and they've skipped some things on this client in-house collection tips, and at this point it's already too late for them. They should have done this stuff early in the process. You know, they should have made their customer satisfaction phone call. They should have sent overdue notices, which now they're not even getting replies to emails, but they're not calling the customer, so they're not even doing collection calls. And what that's causing to happen with them is, well, they might be SOL on that money unless they place it for collections and let us go after it. Let's see. We have some stuff on building an SOP, standard operating procedure, for an effective credit policy, which, of course, having an effective policy is imperative for a company's profitability, and it's imperative for that company to grow. So this is a handout that some of them will read it and find it useful, some of them will not. Some of this stuff is also in the brochure that we send out to our customers because we want to have educated clients. If our clients can make educated decisions and enforce their credit policy properly, this means for us that we get better business from them and we get it more frequently, and of course this means that they have a better handle on their accounts receivable. Let's go ahead and open up the floor for some discussion on this and questions, anything of that nature. Jason, what are your thoughts on client education?
Well, I don't know. I'm not really having any thoughts other than the qualification process and trying to determine if they're going to be a customer that will have placements consistently, that can get the benefit of our services, qualifying their own departments like you're talking about, the AR, their specific AR situation, how the reporting works, what their priorities and goals are, and all that seems to come through the conversation that I have with them and trying to get that information. I had one customer or prospect that was pretty small, and they were growing very quickly. They were a broker, and they were having trouble with their credit and sales departments. I sent some of the information to them, including the credit application, and it was something that they found extremely valuable. They had an agency they were working with that said they would do free credit checks for them, and once they hit 10, they started wanting to charge them, so we were having some pretty good conversations. I found out that they are only placing maybe 5,000 a year, but they were growing. But at the same time, both the accounting manager and the office manager had to talk to the owners, and nothing has really happened since then. I kind of wish that I hadn't sent them the information. I told them it was really reserved for clients, but I was trying to earn some goodwill, and I think they took the information and just sort of used it to their benefit. So I kind of learned a lesson there. But
okay, and give them some time. If they are growing, there may be some benefit to you sending them that information. I wouldn't write them off just yet. The fact is, if they're growing, they're going to outgrow whatever policies they have in place that's keeping them above water now, and they're going to need to address that. Actually, they should have already addressed it. If they didn't, they're going to end up in trouble, and they're going to need you a lot.
Well, yeah, I agree. They are going to end up in trouble. I mean, I was put off for a couple weeks. They've got 4 different companies. They're brokers. It seemed a little bit unorganized, and seemed like the people didn't have the authority to make any decisions or making any progress. But if they call me, if they contact me, I'll start working with them again. I don't mean to put them in the kick bucket, but I think I got played. I think they're unorganized. Like I said, they got 4 different broker companies, and I lost confidence in them as a prospect.
Okay. Well, not a problem. Not a problem, and that's another thing also. If they're just looking for something free and we're not going to get anything in return out of it, I mean, where's the ROI? We have to have a return on investment always, as a company, you as a salesperson. So, making the decision to kick a prospect is a very important decision, because we can't just hold on to something hoping that it comes through.
Right, and I really got the feeling that we were going to get a ton of credit requests from their various 4 sales departments and very little placements in return. In fact, I kind of started getting the feeling if we got any, they were going to be old and just trying to keep us on the line for the credit work that we were doing for their 4 sales departments. So, we'll see, but I think I'm done with that one.
Yeah, and that's a situation we don't want to be in. If they're just using us to do free stuff for them, and they're going to hold the stuff off till it's dead, then there's no reason for us to be in that business relationship. As far as the other stuff you're doing to find out what they're doing in their credit departments, this is all very good stuff. And as you're building on these relationships, this will give you some opportunity to get in there. And once these come into being productive clients, you're going to want to use some of these things to build relationships and to strengthen the relationship you already have with them. If you're giving them tips on how to work with their sales department and well, all of the things that we can do to help them, it's only going to strengthen what Lyons and Associates' value is to them as a customer, because most other agencies are not going to do this type of thing, and the ones that do it are going to charge their clients for doing it.
Okay, you just gave me an idea. On this one I was talking about, I learned a lesson. Probably should have done more qualifying before I sent it. But I've got two. One, the gal is new and a little overwhelmed. The other one is also new, but she's very schooled in this, and you can tell by talking to her she knows exactly what she's doing and what she wants to do with her department. So I'm going to send them both emails today, probing to see if there's any value in that, and it also keeps my name in front of them for the call that I'll have later this week. It should have gone down last week, but I got pushed off to this week. Thanks.
All right, good deal. Hank, what do you think about the things I've talked about in the beginning with client education? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I haven't gotten into that with a lot of clients yet, but it totally makes sense. You have to do that to cement the relationship, and that's the value add. I mean, that sets us apart, and that cements that relationship. So that when they get their 2 or 3 calls from other agencies, they're going to say, heck no, we're dealing with Lyons and Associates, and we're super happy. So that I believe that's very crucial to make sure once they become a customer, they stay a customer. I agree. That's a lot of good resources there.
Absolutely, and the last thing you want to happen is have a client become a prospect again. Right. And believe me, that can happen. I've seen many clients become a prospect again, and once that happens, it's harder to get back in the door. If we're continually providing value, well, they can't go anywhere. It's almost like they're not allowed to,
Right.
If you go anywhere, you're going to be punished. All good stuff. So, Kim Goodwin, I see you got you a new picture. Little bunny rabbit sitting there, huh? Kicking back, feet on the desk.
Exactly.
At his computer.
Exactly. Yeah, I appreciate your client education talks. It seems to me that's such an important key. And can you give some examples of what you've done if a person has kind of turned back into a prospect, or if they maybe got solicited by someone else for some reason? Has that ever happened to you where they ended up going with someone else for some reason? And I guess it seems very unlikely, especially if we're able to deliver for them. But I'm just curious if that's happened.
I haven't had it happen at this company yet. I have had it happen in the past at other companies I've worked for. And getting them back in the door is always a task. My experience with clients leaving when I worked for other agencies is they had some type of negative experience, not necessarily that the agency did something wrong, but they may not have been performing up to what they promised, or the client may have had an issue with getting their reports when they wanted them. There are several things that can cause a client to go someplace else, and one of the things is if we're just not staying in touch with them, and somebody else from another agency that has a great smile and a winning attitude has called them up and promised them the world, and they said, oh, well, let me try it out. But here, if that happens, we can always go back to, what are they actually doing for you? What is their yield?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you compared what we did for you to what they are currently doing for you?
I see. So that's how you talk to someone. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. And I mean, basically, you just have to call them out on it. Have you done your due diligence? Or did you just like the way the person sounded on the phone and sent them the business? Because that's usually what happens in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody with a good personality calls, and they might be talking to that person, and they say, oh, okay, here's some business, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's meet up and play some golf. But the client education stuff we were talking about, Kim, if you look in the back of the starter manual,
Uh-huh.
in the training stuff, there's a few handouts in there, stuff that you can send to clients or talk to them about to help them improve what they're doing in-house.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it might sound like us helping them improve their in-house stuff is going to talk us out of business, but really it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
If they improve their enforcement in their in-house policy, we actually see more business and better business from them if they follow what we suggest.
Well, that makes sense to me. I mean, that really, I think, makes us stand out. Is there a specific point at which you deliver that sort of information? And how do you do it that in a way that doesn't, I don't know, make the credit manager feel like you're telling them how to do their job or something? How do you go about that?
Well, you'll want to be in a point in the relationship where you can talk to them without without feeling like there are things you can't tell them, of course. But when you bring this stuff to them, you always want to present it as, hey, you know, this is probably something you're already doing, but a lot of my clients have found some of this basic stuff or elementary stuff to be useful to them because they've gotten so advanced in their policies. Some of them have forgotten about the rudimentary things that is really the paste that holds everything together. And that way it helps you to present it in a non-confrontational way, because you don't want to tell your client, hey, you're an idiot for doing this. But you do want to make sure that they're doing things properly, and most of this is going to lead to them placing the stuff with us sooner rather than later. And you know, the purpose of this is to cement the relationship and to help them enforce their policy better.
That's a great approach. That's funny too. I was just thinking about, now I'm starting to understand the dynamics a lot better. One of my clients who is in a tracking company, shipping, and I noticed his title is collection manager, but when the stuff, when something he sent in to us came through, I noticed that he was noted on there as the salesperson as well. And so it's interesting. I'm starting to see some companies probably aren't really delegating responsibility in ways that make a lot of sense. That seems like a big conflict of interest right there, at least from my perspective.
It is. It is. It's a huge conflict of interest. And if he is the credit manager and the salesperson, well, he can push through any deal that he wants. And it's important for him to have a solid partner to do the collections when some of those deals do fall through. So, you know, that type of arrangement is actually good for us, but not so good for him. You don't want to come out and tell him it's a conflict of interest, because that would most certainly offend him.
Yeah.
But you know, you can help him with some education to get accounts over to us sooner rather than later.
That makes sense.
Right. And on somebody like that, I would recommend sending to them the handout on 10 reasons internal collections fail. Let's see. This one right here. 10 reasons businesses fail with internal collection initiatives.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right. And if they have a sales guy also approving net terms for somebody, they're going to have a lot of this going on. I don't want to lose them as a client.
Yeah.
And they're also going to have a lot of this.
Yeah, definitely. The guy had waited like 6 months or more to turn it in, so.
Right. And although I don't know who you're talking about, I can pick out his problems pretty well.
Yes.
In that situation, you know. Actually, I have an idea of who you're talking about.
It's funny with some of these companies that probably is kind of a common thing, it seems, with these small trucking companies where they have a few people doing everything and just so much crossover and chaos and such. But yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting.
And what they really need to do is, I mean, the best thing for him would be to place his stuff at 90 days, no matter what, and to watch out for red flags on accounts. Something that would also help him out is using some of our in-house collection tips. The customer satisfaction phone call, of course, overdue notices, and them actually making collection calls, which him as the sales guy is not going to want to be too firm on that, but it's something that has to be done because they need to handle excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if they're coming up with any red flags like missed promises, things like that, they need to place the account sooner than 90 days. Because once you start seeing things like that, it's time to take action. And we both know what happens when they don't take action.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lose money.
Well, thanks, Mike. Thank you for those tips, and that's going to be very helpful.
All right, good deal. Mr. Green, you'll have to unmute yourself before you talk. But give me your thoughts, man. I know this is only your second hangout, but give me your thoughts, man. We're feeding you to the wolves right now.
That's a good deal. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
That's great. I had to kind of analyze this over the last week. Rainer pretty much got on my butt, and I know you did too, and said watch the videos and learn this. And finally, somewhere around Wednesday, maybe Thursday, the light come on, and I just had to start using reverse psychology, because used to when I called on these car dealers, so to speak, and I had a cash flow issue, I'd call and I'd say, accounts payable, please. Well, now I've got to call and say, accounts receivable. And I've got to sit here and send them, 400 or 500 questions, if possible, in 30 seconds to see if I can get them to respond. And I want to do that and be able to speak to these people, just like I'm doing to you right now, and not having to read it off of a script. Because if I can't do that, I'm not doing my job very well. And that's pretty important as far as getting new accounts. And what you were speaking about earlier about getting an old account back that you've lost or either changed business, so to speak, that's a whole new job overall. So yeah, it's completely, this line of work is how you present yourself and how you can communicate with the person that you're on the phone with, because you're right. If they don't like the way you sound, they're not going to tell you to your face, but they're going to say, kiss my butt and move on to the next one.
Exactly. And the best way to prevent clients from going anywhere else, and this isn't a problem here. Clients stay with us because we're good at collecting their money, and that's the primary thing that keeps them happy. But if they've got the whole damn package, man, they're not going anywhere. They're probably not going to go anywhere anyway. But if they have the whole entire package, they'd have to be a fool to go someplace else.
I know. I still think the one thing that might be a key that we should work on when we're dealing with them is letting them know that we do our collections 3 times faster than anybody else in the industry. And if we forget to put that part in there and we can't make it stick in their mind, well, I guess we've been spinning our wheels.
Well,
We got
and 3 times faster is not exactly accurate. We collect 3 times more money. We have our yield is 3 times above the industry average. And although we collect a lot faster, but we collect more because we actually spend the time going after the difficult stuff, and we put in the work that's necessary to get everything collected that can be collected, rather than just collecting the easy stuff and leaving everything else at the wayside, which is what most of your agencies are doing these days. They take the easy money and they leave the rest. So when you're telling them we're faster, you want to let them know we collect more money too. It's not just faster. We collect more money, more quickly, and of course they get their money faster too.
I agree. I told the lady this morning, I says, how would you like to use that money for maybe employee bonuses, or I don't know, how about a New Year's Eve party? I said, using it for something is better than not having it at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wanted to let you know, Rick Johnson will be the guy that you're dealing with as far as management with us now.
All right.
Okay. So I don't think he's given you a call yet, but
I hadn't spoke with him. I didn't even know he existed, Mike.
that's okay. That's okay. You'll be introduced, man. He'll give you a call. He's our VP of sales, man, and he can help you out a lot.
Well, I want all the help I can get. Just let me know how to get in touch with him, or give me my number. I'm sure you have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's very good at what he does too. I think you guys will get along great too. Man, Jason disappeared off of here on us, man. He must have got everything he needed.
Maybe he went for a biscuit. Who knows?
Could be. And we got Mr. Smith in here too. Mr. Smith. All right. Maybe we don't have him here. Well, John, you just muted me. John Smith, Mr. Smith, you got to unmute yourself. That's why we can't hear you. There we go. Oh, back on. One more time, man. All right. There you go. What's happening? Your microphone may not be working. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any further questions Comments? Anything else?
Yeah, I've got an operational question. I don't know if it's something you want to address on this forum or not. But when we contract with a client, I guess there's really three different contracts, if I'm right. I mean, there's a one with the based on the ages of the accounts. We can agree on a rate for all their accounts, or we can just agree on a rate for a particular account. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the reason you have three different agreements there, one of them is essentially for a single placement. Then you have one that is a blanket agreement for one rate across the board.
Right.
Okay, and then the other one is just them agreeing to our standard rate schedule. So you want to use, whichever one's appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have, like, for example, if you have somebody placing a number of accounts that go from 90 days to a year old, you might want to get them to sign the one agreeing to our standard rate schedule, unless you've negotiated some type of volume deal where we're giving them one rate across the board. And then, in that case, of course, use a blanket agreement.
And that's something that, as time goes on, you may need to revisit if they agree upon certain accounts, but then they start sending you a bunch of older stuff.
Right, and that's we want the fresh stuff. Because while we can make a few bucks off of that old stuff, the collectability is not exactly where we want it to be. Yeah, because on some of that old stuff, man, if the account's dead, it doesn't matter who we send in there. We can send a Terminator in and it still might not get paid. All right, and I see we've got a handful of viewers out there that I'm not sure if you couldn't get in to join the Hangout or if you just wanted to watch. Get with me or get with Rick Johnson if you're wanting to figure out how to get in and join the Hangout. Rick will probably be able to help you with that better than I would, because usually I'm on the hosting end of the Hangout and not the viewing end, so I don't know all of the ins and outs of how to get in. But at any rate, are there any other questions, concerns, comments? All right. Well, I think this is going to be a record, man. We finally finished a Hangout in under an hour. Kudos. All right. Well, we're going to sign off. Anybody need anything, call me or call Rick, and we'll make sure you got what you need. when you need it, and let's write some business and make a few bucks.
Sounds good to me, Mike. Just get Rick to give me a call and maybe a couple of pointers, and we'll see how things go for the rest of the day.
All right, good deal. All right, gentlemen. Well, I'll be talking to you.
All right, Mike. Have a great day, man.
You
Thanks,
too.
Mike.
All right, take care.